starting this to see what's going on here. I'm going to try Wendy Bell and see if we can actually get some audio from this video. Okay.
Well, welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. So you've got this Energizer buddy, Donald Trump, who's going on these whirlwind multi-country tours, stopping and meeting, getting money, doing this and that, diplomacy, speaking to the people of these countries. You've got the Democrats covering up for Joe Biden by saying, well, why don't we have Donald Trump's cognitive tests? We need to see how he's doing. And it's like, you know what? It's so distasteful. And then you've got the House Republicans who can't seem to do a damn thing, right? What a bunch of hapless morons. I mean, you almost feel like that, right? Is it everybody? No. But can you do one of something? And Harry Enton is correct to talk about this. He's like, let's look at Trump versus the GOP-controlled Congress. Who's doing more? And whom do Republicans trust to get the job done? Signing laws. Here's Harry numero uno.
I mean, look, this has been a historically unproductive Congress so far. I mean, it's basically bizarro land compared to where we were during the first Trump administration. So laws signed by a president since 1953 at this point of presidency. Look, the fewest on record through this point. There have only been 5. Get it? 5 laws actually passed by this Congress and then signed into law by the president. Compare that to 2017 when you actually had 35 by this point, which was the most on record. So it's not much of a surprise that this Congress is struggling to actually pass legislation, because the fact is that has been the rule of the game so far, where they just really haven't been able to pass anything. And the fact that they'll actually be able to pass something, well, it's a minor miracle by some accords.
Trump realizes it has been put on blast by a president who's not here to play games. So since 1953, President Trump holds both the most and the least executive orders signed into law. 5 being the fewest, that is now 2025, and the most in 2017 when he signed 35 bills into law.
Now, his first term, when he took office when he won the election in 2016 and took office in 2017, if you recall, there was a Russian collusion hoax. And although the House was controlled by Republicans, they weren't all in on Donald Trump's agenda 100%. Yet he signed more in that term than he has in this one so far. So, I'm baffled too.
Because Congress freaking showed up and did its job. What are they doing? I don't know. I get it. Number 2, Harry says, look, because Congress is doing so little, President Trump is really just using the executive order. And if he signs no more into law in 2025, he will have broken a record. Listen.
If Congress has been historically unproductive, Donald Trump has been historically productive. What are we talking about here? Well, if you can't pass a law, why don't you just sign an executive order? That's what Donald Trump's been doing. So Trump executive orders at this point. In 2017, it was just 36. Look at the number now. Holy Toledo, 152. That is the most on record for any president at this point in a presidency, dating back since at least the FDR administration. Indeed, if you had this 152 and Donald Trump didn't sign a single other one, that itself for the entire year would be the most.
Now, I like to watch this guy on CNN because it doesn't matter who is up there with him. Look at the expression on her face. It's like she can barely stand to hear him talk about Donald Trump. She looks like she's almost ready to throw up. Isn't that amazing? And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what correspondent is standing up there with him, with Harry. They all have the same kind of look on their face. Like they are just so pissed off they could puke.
Since FDR. And of course, we still have, 6-7 months to go. So the bottom line is Congress, historically unproductive, but Donald Trump has been historically productive because he's signed all these executive orders. You can do the quick math. I mean, 4 or 5 times as many this term than he had in his first term? Holy cow.
So what do we know? We know the Congress doesn't move quickly. We know the Republicans in Congress do very little at all, well or fast. And just like the media has been called out, everybody's waking up to it. Just as Joe Biden's being called out, everybody is awake to it. So is Congress. The ineffectiveness of these people in this chamber. 4 times more executive orders. Trump is moving at Trump time. He's exposing them for doing little, if anything, that's good. And if these things don't become law, any next president can unravel any executive order Donald Trump decides to make. It's absolutely null and void, gone, reversible, unless it becomes law. Here is the last audio soundbite so that we know this. When you look, whom do Republicans trust more? Do they trust President Trump, who's moving at light speed? Or do they trust the slow poke tortoises over here on the Republican side in Congress who are doing nothing well? Listen.
You bring in Donald Trump as the closer. He is the Mariano Rivera of the Republican Party, or maybe Jonathan Papelbon if you're a John Berman. You're welcome, Johnny B. Who Republicans trust more if these groups disagree on an issue? Donald Trump or the GOP leaders in Congress? Just 22% say the GOP leaders in Congress. 58%, that's a very large number, say Donald Trump. So the bottom line is, yes, Congress is struggling, but Donald Trump is thriving in terms of getting his agenda enacted. And that is why Donald Trump is going to be pushing these Republicans very hard in order to get this budget passed.
Well, of course, because executive orders, those can change with the signature of the next president.
You got it exactly right.
Thank you, Harry.
Thank you.
58%. The Republicans trust Donald Trump 58%. To the Republicans in Congress, 22%. That's almost a threefold mandate to the people sitting in the seats representing the Republican grand old party. Get with the program, figure it out, vote on it, and let's make things happen. Pass a budget, pass these bills, make them law. Let's make history. We got all of the ingredients in the kitchen, ladies and gentlemen, just waiting for the chefs to come on over and fire up the stove. Thank you for being part of the program. I love today's show. I love being with you. Thank you. Thank you. Wendy Bell Radio Network. That's what we're called. Get our app, get the podcast. Just come on back tomorrow.
News. I have too much to cover, so I have to blast through it in one episode. We're going to start with Hillary lying to you. Subscribe.
As I posted the other day, this very blatant effort to basically send a message, most exemplified by Vance and Musk and others, that, you know, what we really need from you women are more children. And what that really means is you should go back to doing what you were born to do, which is to produce more children. And they're talking about, you know, cash benefits for the more children you have. This has been tried, by the way, in other countries and it has not worked. Or medals if you have 6 children. While they're contemplating cutting Medicaid, while they have no interest in paid family leave or funding quality childcare, they're cutting Head Start. I mean, you go down the list of all the programs that support child rearing and the care of children and create, you know, some safety net for women who are in the workforce, the formal workforce, as well as, you know, raising children. So this is another performance about concerns they allegedly have for family life. But if you had read...
Hillary, the people want to know, who are you wearing? You always do those fashion questions. Who are you wearing? She's wearing Pepto-Bismol today, ladies and gentlemen.
The Heritage Foundation's Project 2025, despite Trump saying he knew nothing about it, if you had read it, it's all in there. It's all in there. Return to,
back to 2025.
The family, the nuclear family.
Oh, return to the nuclear family. Hillary, you're dressed up. You look like a pancreas.
Return to being a Christian nation.
Oh, yeah.
Return to, you know, producing a lot of children.
Oh, terrible.
Which is sort of odd because the people who produce the most children in our country are immigrants, and they
Oh, yeah, and you hate them. Why have a bunch of little brown kids running around Hillary? Hillary's going, I know, you can pick our fruit. You can clean my house. You can be my nanny. You can go up on the roof. You can replace the roof tiles on the roof, Pepito. Yeah, those dang immigrants having so many kids. Hillary is against the idea. And she keeps saying women just going back to what they were naturally put here to do, to have kids. Yes, Hillary, it's natural. It's what people do. Look at it. Every cell in your body tells the story of how you're prepared to reproduce. A ton of your organs, in fact, all the organs that make you a woman, are designed to reproduce.
want to deport them. So none of this adds up. But, one of the
Hold on. Just because I want to deport kids doesn't mean I don't want to have them. Just because I want them deported doesn't mean I want them murdered. That's what your party does to the unborn. In fact, you don't even do it just to the immigrants. You do it to your own citizens, to your own black constituents in New York. 50% of unborn black babies will not make it. They'll be chosen to be got rid of in New York. 50% of blacks. What do you call it when a party that used to be in the Klan tries to remove 50% of an ethnicity? Oh, yeah, it's called genocide.
reasons why our economy did so much better than comparable advanced economies across the world is because we actually had a replenishment, because we had a lot of immigrants legally and undocumented who had a larger than normal by American standards family. So
the only form of profit that the Democrats ever even heard of that they're for is when it's illegals having baby. All other forms of profit, people making money, they demonize you as being, you're the evil rich.
this is just another one of their, make America great again by returning to the lifestyles and the economic arrangements of not just the 1950s. I mean, let's keep going back as far as we can. And
It's like the year 700 AD. Look at Hillary. She's like, we hate babies. She's going like, babies should only be here if you're going to make them into sausage. This is like the Hansel and Gretel witch. Who hates babies? Democrats. She's making this with a straight face. When you see like a mother cradling her baby, and it's just a beautiful thing to see a mom and a baby looking at each other. Hillary's like, man, look at Bill Clinton in the background on this one. This guy has been relegated to a personal hell having to live with this woman. Look at her. He looks disgusted. This is the best sentence, by the way. Bill Clinton, he may have been impeached, but he never did time. But in his own way, this is him doing time. Ew.
And these people will stop at nothing. Yes, the Russians helped them last time. The Russians are helping them now. And you cover the White House. The White House has said, don't brief the Congress.
What Kash Patel and Dan Bongino, are they in on the conspiracy to lie to you?
You said Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide.
Sure.
People don't believe it.
Well, I mean, listen, they have a right to their opinion, but as someone who has worked as a public defender, as a prosecutor, who's been in that prison system, who's been in the Metropolitan Detention Center, who's been in segregated housing, a suicide when you see one, and that's what that was.
That's a suicide. Epstein committed suicide. Okay, can we put this to rest yet, guys? Or we're going to be talking about this 40 years from now, like the second shooter of JFK. Are we going to deny the moon landing? Is 9/11 an inside job? Is the earth flat? There's Kash Patel. He's an authority who knows. He's trying to relieve you going, he wasn't murdered in prison. He killed himself there.
He killed himself.
Dan Bongino, you sell out. Who's paying you? The Mossad? Did the Jews give you a call? That's what all the conspiracy theorists say. And sometimes everything is not a giant conspiracy. So I just want to clear this one out. These are two big time guys who would know, saying Epstein, it was not a conspiracy. No one murdered him. They think he killed himself.
Again, you want me to get, I've seen the whole file. He killed himself.
There you go. He saw the whole file. I have not seen the whole file, but that makes three now because that includes Trump. Or was it Tucker Carlson? Did Epstein kill himself?
Do you think Epstein killed himself sincerely?
I don't know. I don't know what Barr said about it either. I have no idea what he said. What did he say? He killed himself, probably?
He said he killed himself, and that there.
But there are those people. There are many people. I think you're one of them, right? But a lot of people think that he was killed. He knew a lot on a lot of people.
He was killed.
And Trump said he had a lot of reasons to kill himself. I think he did. They would know. Trump knows. Bongino knows. Kash Patel knows. So this is kind of my you guys know I'm against conspiracies. And on this one, this is yet another public expert saying, nope. Now, here's Meghan McCain. I know she's not a favorite of any of you because she's the daughter of John McCain, on Joe Biden's cancer and kind of, do we have compassion on this? Are we going to politicize this? How are we going to talk about it? She's on the All In podcast watch.
You and your family have a long history with the Bidens, and you and I have talked many times about how he shouldn't have run in 19 and shouldn't have run in 24. And so the whole thing is, you and I know many, many people who saw the decline.
She tells one story of when her dad was dying of cancer. That's John McCain was dying of cancer. She said Joe Biden came up to her, nothing creepy at all, totally sincere, just saying, I really mourn for you and your dad. And she's just saying, just believe him for a second. Okay. That was a real moment. Does everything have to be politics? But she doesn't believe him. She's still like done with him and done with Tappert. But now she says this one I find very interesting. Here you go. I don't know if it's just my bias or my background, meaning her parents, how they raised her, but I don't want to hear anything else about Biden's health cover-up, the tell-all book, interviews with staff, etc. Let the Biden family be in peace right now. This is all just so sad and imprudent. That is, she's saying that demands prudence for us to speak respectfully of a man who just found out he has cancer. Now, I'm going to disagree a bit. I agree with having all the compassion you want about Biden suffering from cancer. But the release of this information was political. That is, they do not care about his mourning or his cancer. And if they wanted you to pray for him, they would have told you about it 10 months ago when they all knew, probably even 10 years ago, and they didn't tell you. So the only reason why they released this week has nothing to do with your wanting you to pray for Biden or have sympathy for him. It was only released yesterday because the story was getting traction on the massive media cover-up of his decline. So they go, look, we're gonna throw this one out there, and then we'll pressure people, which we're seeing from Dave Axelrod and all the political pundits are pressuring you to not talk about the cover-up, and instead you are only allowed to show compassion for his cancer. And I disagree with that because normal people have compassion for an old man with cancer. That's normal. Meghan McCain, you should have compassion for him. It means you're normal. I have compassion and sadness for his cancer. That makes me normal. The Democrats and the Marxist evil people know that you and I are normal and we have compassion. And that's why they're using this. They know that normal people have compassion. So now they're going, we really should set aside this. It's pure politics, guys, to use that against you. They did the same thing with USAID. When you go in and look up fraud for USAID, they come out and go, you can't remove fraud from USAID. You're going to make this children starve. They hide behind moral things that normal people think. Remember when the prostitute went and had this expensive perfume and pours it on Jesus' feet, and she's weeping and everything, and Judas and some of the disciples go like, hey, that perfume could have been sold and we could have given the money to the poor. And Jesus goes, no, this woman gets it. She's doing something very good. You can always use compassion and external good works to make yourself look good and start calling other people names. But it's in this case, when they do this to Meghan McCain and to you and I to make you feel bad for going after the cover-up, it's politics. I know they don't care about them. I know they don't care about your prayers. When they say pray and we're mourning, whatever, they all knew. Obama knew. Kamala knew. They all knew. All of us knew Biden was infirmed in some way. That doesn't change now that you have an actual diagnosis. This is all a political scam, and I have something to say to these people, including Christians that might say, hey, Doug, show a little compassion. How dare you? Back off, buddy.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pause that there and show you that this video does come from Doug in Exile. I'm like 12 minutes into this 20-minute video, so if you want to watch more of this, it's in the description box below. I'm subscribed to his channel. I've given him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. And yeah, I agree with Doug. Yes, we should feel bad that Joe Biden has cancer, and that will probably shorten his life by a few years. But then again, if he has cancer that is so advanced that is in his bones, I'm wondering why nothing was done to help prevent it. I had prostate cancer and I got treatment. I'm wondering why, now that this book has come out, the Her report is being released, why this is announced right now. If, in fact, Joe Biden does have cancer, I feel sorry for him and his family. If he does. Now, they announced that he does. I haven't seen any test results to show that he has. And this wouldn't be the first time that we've been lied to about things like this. I'm not trying to start a conspiracy theory, but here again, what's happened now with Joe Biden's health condition doesn't have anything to do with what happened with this auto pin. Okay, are the laws that he signed actually legitimate? Are the executive orders that he signed that were signed by this auto pin actually something that should be honored? And the other things too. These pardons, now I've heard it said by people in law with attorneys, law degrees, that, well, pardons are talked about in the Constitution, but there's nothing in there that mentions a document has to be signed for the president to pardon somebody. Kind of like with top secret information, classified documents. The president doesn't have to sign anything. He can just say, this is unclassified. And it is. He can just think it in his mind. And it is. There's no documentation around that to declassify anything. So I don't know if these pardons are in jeopardy or not, because there's nothing in the Constitution that says that a document has to be signed in order to pardon someone. Okay, I'm going to try one more video here from Dr. Steve Turley. This is about 8 minutes. I'm going to run over as it is, but I want to try to get this information out. And this is an election from Dr. Steve Turley talking about George Soros. This is an election that happened over in Europe. But it still has ramifications here in the United States. I've not heard a lot about election integrity here in the United States. I feel that it is better now than it was in 2020. Otherwise, they would have stolen this election as well. But hopefully, as it gets closer to 2026, there will be some more information and actions taken to secure our elections. Otherwise, we're going to lose the Congress. And then Donald Trump will just be spinning his wheels. Let's see what Dr. Steve has to say. Hopefully, we can hear this. Hopefully, it'll start.
electoral map look like after that first round win? Again, this was just 2 weeks ago. All the blue that you see there are all the counties that voted for Simeon. Well, as you can see, it wasn't even close. Even Polymarket saw Simeon's chances of winning the runoff to be overwhelming. But as things turned out, for the second round runoff, Simeon only increased his vote share by another 6%, whereas Dan more than doubled his vote share from just 2 weeks ago. Now, many are crying foul over this, and rightfully so. We now know that the founder of Telegram, Pavel Durov, admitted to being pressured by the head of French intelligence, a fellow by the name of Nicolas Lerner, to deliberately censor Romanian conservative voices on his platform in an effort to suppress the populist turnout. Durov remained defiant, tweeting out, quote, "You cannot defend democracy by destroying democracy. You can't fight election interference by interfering with elections. You either have freedom of speech and fair elections or you don't. And the Romanian people deserve both." But of course, this revelation raises the question: if foreign interference tried to infiltrate Romanian social media, what else in this election did such forces try to interfere with? Well, as it turns out, what French intelligence attempted to do here was rather tame compared to what originally happened that began this entire saga. You see, this was not the presidential election that was supposed to take place in Romania. The original one was scheduled for this past December, but it was ordered canceled by a Romanian court. And it's here where we begin to see the fingerprints of none other than George Soros himself.
We will stand bravely, dream bold.
Americans that promised. The now remotely treated candidate by the name of Calin Georgescu came out of nowhere and actually won the first round. Georgescu wasn't even remotely treated seriously by Romania's legacy media. In fact, they so dismissed him, they didn't even cover his campaign. But Georgescu became a sensation on social media, particularly TikTok, by which he was able to communicate directly with the Romanian people. So he ended up blowing his competition away. He won the first round, and all the polls showed that he would easily win the second round and thus win the presidency. But then, out of nowhere, the Romanian Supreme Court stepped in and annulled the first round election and canceled the upcoming runoff election scheduled for December. And the reason they cited was because the democratic integrity of the election was contaminated, I kid you not, by Russian interference. They actually went so far as to say that Russian actors artificially manipulated and exploited TikTok's algorithm to enable Georgescu's videos to go viral, which, according to the court, undermine the democratic integrity of the election. And yes, in case you were wondering, this move marked the first time a European Union member state has ever reversed a democratic election over a social media related issue. And then, after election officials announced a new round of elections when Georgescu went to register as a candidate, they arrested him. They arrested him and charged him with colluding with Russia and trying to overthrow Romania's constitutional order and banned him from ever running again. And so that's how George Simeon ended up Georgescu's replacement. But of course, all of this begs the question, who precisely are these judges that nullified the results and canceled the election in the first place? Well, we don't have to look too far at who is influencing them. Thanks to the amazing work of fellow Doge member Data Republican, we now know that George Soros and USAID foreign aid programs have a long history of interfering in elections around the world, most especially Romania. According to a 2022 U.S. State Department report, this influence is happening particularly through Romania's judiciary. Since 2002, Soros, USAID, and the American Bar Association have been pushing for judicial reform in Romania, which has come primarily through an institution known as the Superior Council of Magistracy. a judicial body that oversees the judicial system, particularly in Romania and other Eastern European countries. Now, it's billed as responsible for ensuring the independence and impartiality of Eastern European judiciary. But in reality, it appears to be nothing less than a court that has been bought and paid for by Soros' special interests. So, for example, by comparison, a rather damning report by the European Center for Law and Justice found that at least 22 of the last 100 judges at the European Court of Human Rights were former employees of NGOs funded by Soros's Open Society foundations. Of these, 12 had direct ties to the Open Society, and the foundation also funds several other NGOs involved in the European human rights system. We saw precisely these NGOs and think tanks emerge in support of the banning of Georgescu and the canceling of the election. So, for example, the president of the Global Focus Center, a Bucharest-based think tank and recipient of USAID funds, wrote a piece for the European Council on Foreign Relations championing the judicial coup, saying that such measures were necessary for securing the democratic integrity of Romania. So basically, the pattern that emerges here is this. You get a judicial coup, some of whose judges were associated with Soros-based NGOs. That coup is then overseen and greenlighted by the organizational reforms pushed by Soros in that magisterial court. They cancel an election, and then NGOs and think tanks funded by USAID and NED publicly champion the cancellation as necessary to serve democracy. And so, regardless of what happened in this weekend's presidential runoff, it's fairly clear that foreign interference has already contaminated free and fair elections in Romania, an interference that's marked decades of Soros-based nefarious influence. Unfortunately, with this Sunday's election outcome, it does appear that Soros successfully stole another one.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And like I said, there has to be something done here in the United States, or if they got by with it and nothing happens, they're going to continue to try to get by with it. Stealing elections, I mean. Fraud and corruption. Let me click on this Rumble link and show you that this video does come from Dr. Steve Turley. I'm following his channel. I've given him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me.
It's just 20%.
Okay.
Now here's what
Let's get back here. And I wasn't able to share the Barry Cunningham video with you. Why? I don't know. Sometimes Rumble Studio has this glitch where the audio doesn't come through. I'm not sure why that is. Hopefully I can figure it out. I've got a ticket into support, and I don't know. Either I'm doing something wrong or there's a glitch with Rumble Studio. So with that being said, I do apologize for having a problem with my previous video. As you can see, I labeled this episode 1568B. It has the same information in it. I'm sure you can come down here and click these links and go directly to these videos and listen to all of them, particularly Barry Cunningham. He has some great information here from Carolyn Levitt, and Doug in Exile only played about half of that. But see if I have any chats here. Debbie BS, thank you very much. And Birdie, thank you very much for coming over here and grabbing this video, my second chance on that. Let me copy this into a comment to show you guys join me here. I sincerely appreciate your support. Boom. There it is. There it is. Okay. Got 36 people watching right now. I've got one thumbs up. So if you could slide down here and give me another thumbs up on this video, I would greatly appreciate it. Okay, I'm going to put together another daily news wrap-up, and hopefully I can get that out about 9:30. So go ahead and grab a cup of coffee, a donut, whatever, and come back here at 9:30, and I should have everything put together. I've gotten over 70 videos in my playlist for tonight, and I'm going to add to that. I'm going to go back and update my playlist in case something new has dropped for my playlist to add to that. So I do want to thank you for your time, the second time. Hopefully I'll get to see you again later, and may God bless.